I was tutoring the younger brother of the school's heartthrob at his house. My online boyfriend texted me to complain. "Baby, my mom just found a tutor for my little brother and she's a classmate of mine. She's incredibly annoying." What a coincidence. I looked at Jason Gray, who was fiddling with his phone right in front of me, feeling a little flustered. That girl is truly unlikable. I don't like her at all. Jason Gray remained with his head down, muttering as he typed. I was so scared I didn't dare to reply to the message. Could it really be such a coincidence? Even if I had picked my online boyfriend from the People Nearby feature, it couldn't be that coincidental, could it? Ivy Yang, can you focus on teaching my brother? Stop looking at your phone all the time. Jason Gray saw me fiddling with my phone and looked displeased. Okay. I reluctantly put my phone down. He lowered his head to text again, and right after, my phone vibrated continuously. Good heavens, if you don't want me on my phone, then stop texting me. I looked up, just as my eyes met his slightly angry gaze. I silently switched my phone to silent mode. Fortunately, he didn't notice anything amiss. I still couldn't believe that the online boyfriend I had been chatting with for so long was actually the school's famous heartthrob. Teacher, can you check if I did this problem correctly? Brian Gray eagerly held out his exercise book to me. I looked through it. He had indeed followed every step I had instructed. The boy was very intelligent. I only needed to teach him one type of problem, and he could understand and apply it to all similar ones. I nodded with satisfaction, unable to help but praise him. You learn so fast, that's excellent. Are there any other parts you don't understand? I checked the clock. I had already taught an hour past the scheduled time. Although Brian Gray was intelligent, he probably wasn't focused in school, which was why he needed to catch up now. No, thank you, teacher. You teach very well. The door opened, and Mrs. Gray walked in, a gentle smile on her face. Brian, how's Ivy's teaching? Have you learned anything? Yes, I've learned everything. Sister Ivy teaches very well, and she's also beautiful and gentle. Brian Gray nodded continuously, praising me nonstop. In contrast, Jason Gray's expression grew increasingly unpleasant, but he didn't say a word. All right, I've never seen you praise any teacher like this before, so let's have Miss Yang continue teaching you. Brian Gray jumped up happily. Mrs. Gray was very gentle. She looked at her phone and said, Miss Yang, it's so late now, why don't you stay at my place? It'll be convenient for you to go to school with Jason Gray tomorrow morning. Please, Mrs. Gray, don't call me Miss Yang anymore. Just call me Ivy. I looked at Jason Gray's annoyed expression and immediately flatly refused. No, thank you, Mrs. Gray. I still need to go to the hospital to visit my mother. She showed a regretful expression. Oh, really? The city hospital is quite far from here. Let Jason Gray take you. I was just about to refuse when she pulled Jason Gray to his feet. Son, are you not listening to what Mom says? Go on, take your friend. Jason Gray reluctantly picked up the keys from the table. It was a classic car key, embossed with a prancing horse. Indeed, a Ferrari. Just this Ferrari alone was enough to make countless female students at school swoon. He went to get the car, telling me to wait there. Only then did I have a chance to look at the messages Jason Gray had sent. The messages had stopped a few minutes ago, with the last one being a clingy, adorable sticker he'd sent. I scrolled up to review the conversation. Baby, why aren't you replying? She wasn't focused while tutoring my brother, so I gave her a good scolding. Good heavens, did he really have to go and tell someone else about this? Before, I used to think he shared everything with me, and sometimes his clinginess was even adorable. But I still didn't want to associate my online boyfriend with Jason Gray's cold face. Baby, when will we finally meet? I promise I won't disappoint you. He truly was cold on the outside and warm on the inside. His appearance, which thousands of girls swooned over, actually hid a childish heart. No way, I'm too ugly. Meeting up definitely wouldn't be good. Baby, you finally replied. What were you doing just now? He told me to wait here, yet he wouldn't go drive and was busy texting instead. Slightly annoyed, I irritably replied, Got yelled at by an idiot. So annoyed. As soon as I sent the message, the other side immediately showed typing. Which idiot dared to scold my baby, huh? Reading that, I almost burst out laughing. Was he scolding himself too? My mom even told me to drive that classmate home, but I don't want to. I'll just sleep in the car later. Jason Gray was truly cold. Why do you hate your classmate so much? I asked, as if I already knew the answer. Anyone could see that Jason Gray didn't like me, and I could partly guess why. A moment later, Jason Gray replied, "Because she badmouthed me behind my back." As expected, he still hadn't forgotten about that. During the pandemic, my school was locked down for a period. All learning relied on online meetings conducted by teachers. That day was my first time using an online learning platform. I only remembered seeing a microphone icon. Below it were the words mute, and there was a red line across the microphone. Was this mic on or mic off? I truly didn't understand. Just then, my roommate sent me a voice message. "Ivy, do you think Jason Gray is handsome? He even has a Ferrari. I think I like him. But I heard a girl confess to him a few days ago and was rejected." I blurted out. "Just look at Jason Gray's face. Stare at it for 2 more seconds, and you'll catch a chill. What's so great about him? Where's the handsome part?" The teacher, who was lecturing, suddenly cleared his throat. "Ivy Yang, no talking during class. Please turn off your microphone." Another message from my friend popped up. "Ivy, why didn't you turn off your mic? The whole class heard everything." It was over. Things had gotten serious. After that, the school was no longer locked down, but this incident spread everywhere. Sometimes girls would even come to my classroom just to stare at me. Who on earth dared to talk about Jason Gray like that? Do they have a death wish? But Jason Gray didn't make things difficult for me at all, nor did he react in any way, other than the cold glance he'd give me whenever our paths crossed. And since he seemed to look at everyone with such indifference, I just assumed he didn't give it a second thought. Only this time did I realize that, indeed, he still held a grudge. He probably never expected that his online girlfriend would turn out to be the very person he despised. While texting Jason Gray, I also opened a ride-hailing app to look for a car. Just then, the door behind me suddenly opened, and Mrs. Gray stepped out. She looked at me, seeming a little surprised. "Oh? Ivy, why are you still here? Where's Jason Gray?" She looked around for a moment. "It's all right, Mrs. Gray. I've already booked a ride." Cancel it right now! Let Jason Gray take you!" She put her phone to her ear, smiled at me, and walked to one side. "Jason Gray, where are you? Are you ignoring your mother now?" A minute later, she gave me an okay sign. Before long, a red Ferrari roared up, and Jason Gray shot me a cold glance. "Get in." To my surprise, she pushed past me and grabbed Jason Gray's ear. "You must treat Ivy well. Do you have any idea how hard it was to find a tutor for your brother? If you annoy her until she quits, you'll tutor him yourself." Jason Gray winced in pain, gritting his teeth as he said, "Mom, all right, I get it." As we passed a barbecue stall, I told Jason Gray to stop. He looked at me with a helpless expression that seemed to say, "Why are you so high maintenance?" The moment I got out of the car, my phone rang. I didn't even need to think to know it was a message from Jason Gray. Haha, he's playing games with me and texting at the same time. I'm not going to bother replying. Thinking back, Jason Gray and I met through gaming. That time, it was a ranked promotion match, and I turned on the Nearby Players feature. He was the only one playing Honor of Kings. I tried sending him an invite, and unexpectedly, he joined instantly. To think, someone like Jason Gray, who never paid attention to girls, actually fell in love online. If my boy-crazy best friend knew about this, she'd probably cry herself to death. After buying the skewers, I got into the car and finally opened Jason Gray's message. "Babe, can we meet? I've never even seen you before." He'd mentioned this idea of meeting many times before. Luckily, I never agreed. If we met and he saw me, he'd probably turn hostile right on the spot. "If you looked like that classmate of mine, would you still like me, babe?" Ever since I found out Jason Gray was my online boyfriend, I even found the 2 words, babe, added to every sentence a bit strange. I heard the notification chime of his message. He just glanced at it, not replying because he was driving. "We're here," his cold voice echoed. Haha, he's not this cold to me online. What a two-faced jerk. "Thanks." I hesitated for a moment, but finally still said thank you. The moment I got out, the Ferrari revved its engine and sped away. Oh my God, that's just utterly heartless. It took me a lot of effort to find my mother's hospital room. Before that, I had asked many times, but she wouldn't let me visit. She was in a high-end private room, all by herself. "Mom, are you feeling better?" Seeing me, my mother's expression immediately changed, and she tried to get out of bed to stop me. "Why are you here? Go home, quickly." I looked at her helplessly. "I know. You were hospitalized because of Dr. Allen, right? It's fine. I just saw him go downstairs." My mother sighed in relief, returning to her tired demeanor. "That's good then, but he can't know I have such a grown-up child. Wait until he agrees, then we'll tell him." I gave a helpless laugh. "Mom, are you still eating these lamb skewers?" "Eat them! Leave the skewers here, you can go home now." I could only sit down beside her helplessly. "Mom, let's go back home. That mansion is so scary for me to live in alone. It just feels so empty." My mother was only engrossed in eating the skewers, not paying me any attention. "Sigh, it's so lonely when I go home now. That's why I went to be a tutor." "Who told you to dress so shabbily? I bought you so many branded clothes and handbags, but you refused to wear them." My mother was terrifyingly resolute. "No, I'm not going home. Wait until I successfully win over Dr. Allen, then we'll see. Proximity brings its own advantages." At this moment, my phone lit up. It was a WeChat message from Mrs. Gray. "Ivy, from now on, please come tutor Jason Gray after school, both in the afternoons and evenings. I'll increase your salary. You two can go together after school. He can drive you." I tried to persuade my mother for a whole hour, but she was completely unmoved by my pleas. In the end, I had to go to IKEA to buy a huge teddy bear so I could hug it to sleep at night and feel more at ease. When I got home, the pitch-black house looked like a gaping monster. I didn't even turn on the lights, just used a flashlight to guide my way straight to my bedroom. A big house isn't all that great. It just makes you more afraid. Turning on the air conditioner and pulling up the blanket, I started messaging Jason Gray. Every time I messaged him, I always felt more at ease. "If you look like that classmate of mine, I'd probably have to reconsider." This message was sent more than 10 minutes ago, an answer to the question I'd asked him in the car. "Didn't you say you'd like me no matter what I looked like?" His reply was noticeably delayed. "No way. You absolutely can't look like that witch, otherwise I'd be very sad." He really does despise me. Although I called him ugly, others don't think so why does he need to take it to heart? "Wifey, why didn't you invite me to play a game today?" Seeing this form of address, I got goosebumps. I couldn't even imagine Jason Gray's tone and expression when he said this. "What? Wifey, don't call me that anymore." Immediately after came a sticker of a small, pouty cat. "Hey, what are you doing? You're so cold in person. You don't need to be so overly relaxed when we're online dating." I decided to answer the question, ignoring the form of address. "I've been busy lately, so I probably won't be able to play many games in the afternoons and evenings." All right. After chatting for a while, it was almost midnight. "Going to sleep now, wifey? Good night." "Good night." In the end, I didn't have the courage to type back those 2 words. Hubby. My mother's Porsche was parked outside the house, but unfortunately, I don't have a driver's license, so every day I still have to call a car to get to school. The moment I got out of the car, I saw my best friend waving at the school gate, running toward me with a happy face. "Ivy, you look really pretty today." Behind us, a loud roar echoed as a familiar red Ferrari, like a roaring beast, screeched to a halt right in front of the school gate. As expected, every time he came to school, Jason Gray would appear so arrogant. I looked around and realized something was off. "What's up? Why are there so many people at the school gate today?" "Don't you know? It's Jason Gray's birthday today, and Crystal Chu said she wants to confess her feelings to him. We all came to watch." In the crowd, I immediately saw Crystal Chu holding an incredibly luxurious birthday cake. Everyone around was gathering and whispering. "No wonder you came earlier than me today. You must be here to watch the confession, right?" My best friend scoffed. "Confession? Please, everyone's just here to watch a spectacle. Who thinks she could actually succeed?" Crystal Chu was very popular in school, but I didn't know much about her. I only heard that her family had some wealth, but she was very ostentatious. What's wrong? I think she's pretty. Even standing from afar, I could see Crystal Chu standing out among the crowd of female students. Tall and graceful, with fair, smooth skin and delicate features. One look and you could tell she was an innocent young lady who had never experienced love. My best friend patted my shoulder, giving me a look that said, "You're still so naive." How many girls have confessed their feelings to Jason Gray? Have you ever seen him agree to any of them? Besides, Crystal Chu is famously lacking in integrity. How could Jason possibly agree to her? Jason was doing something inside the car and took forever to get out. My curiosity was piqued. How bad is her character exactly? Have you not seen her cornering other girls in the bathroom to beat them up? She thinks she's hot stuff just because her family has a bit of money. She specializes in bullying those who aren't as well off. I wonder if there's something wrong with her psychologically. Sure enough, you can't judge a book by its cover. She confessed her feelings and even posted it in the group chat. Does she really think she can succeed? I'm just here to watch her embarrass herself. Suddenly, my phone vibrated in my pocket. The caller was Mrs. Gray, Jason's mother. Hello? Mrs. Gray, is everything all right? Has Jason looked for you at school? I looked at the Ferrari not far away and shook my head. No, he hasn't. All right, Ivy, please wait a moment. Just a moment later, Jason stepped out of the car. As the butterfly doors opened, he looked like a prince stepping out of a fairy tale. Crystal Chu shyly held a luxurious birthday cake, approaching him. My best friend grabbed my arm, her face alight with excitement. Jason, happy birthday! She held up the cake with both hands, a slight blush still visible on her face. Jason stopped, looking at the cake impassively, showing no intention of taking it. Thank you. With that, he continued walking, leaving Crystal standing frozen in place, her face full of bewilderment. Those around either mocked her or showed sympathy. My best friend nearly burst out laughing, pulling my arm delightedly. I knew it! I knew it! She definitely wouldn't succeed. But then, I felt something was off. Damn it, why was he walking straight towards me? Sure enough, Jason's knife-like gaze honed in on me. My best friend also noticed something unusual. Ivy, why is Jason walking towards you? What was going on? Mrs. Gray told me to wait. Could it be to wait for her son? My best friend tensed up, gripping my hand tightly. Hey, stop pulling my hand constantly. You pull it when you're happy, and you pull it when you're stressed. My arm's going to be bruised. As Jason drew closer, I noticed his ears were red. I suddenly recalled Mrs. Gray's ear-pinching move from last night. Could it be that he'd been pinched again this morning? He looked at me with the same expression he'd had when looking at Crystal just now. I sincerely invite you. Please come home with me for lunch today, okay? I stood there dumbfounded for a moment, then nodded. Seeing me nod, a flicker of unnaturalness crossed his face, then he turned back to his car. The Ferrari roared to life and shot into the campus. My best friend looked at me with a mix of shock and admiration. What? Going home together? Did you win him over? Win him over my foot? I'm his younger brother's tutor. Please, Miss Drama Queen, don't be so nosy. Unexpectedly, my best friend didn't change her expression at all. Her boy-crazy face was as before. Boo-hoo, I'm still happy for you, though. It's a shame I'm so bad at studying, I can't tutor high school students. My friend's infatuation hadn't subsided when Mrs. Gray's phone call came in again. This time, has Jason found you? If I wasn't mistaken, there was a hint of pride in her voice. Yes, he found me. He just found me. All right, my guess wasn't wrong after all. Oh, that boy Jason is good in every way, just a bit too cold. Ivy, you're so gentle, I'm sure you wouldn't dare get in his car, so I told him to invite you personally. Are you at ease now? Mrs. Gray, you don't know Jason's tone was so unpleasant just now. Now I'm even less at ease. But I still politely replied, Thank you, Mrs. Gray. After hanging up, my best friend cautiously poked my arm. Ivy, it seems you've become the center of everyone's attention. Indeed, most people's gazes had shifted from Crystal to me, especially Crystal. Her eyes looked at me as if I had just killed her father. In everyone's eyes, it seemed I had ruined a romantic confession. I suddenly had a bit of the humiliation of being the other woman. "Let's go. There's nothing good to see." I pulled my best friend and ran straight to class. Once we escaped the crowd, my friend's gossipy soul flared up again. "Earlier, when we were online, you talked about Jason like that. Now that you're his family's tutor, isn't he making things difficult for you?" I put on a face like I was about to cry. "Don't even mention it. I've only been tutoring for a few hours, and he's nearly tormented me to death. Are you trying to bring up painful memories? If you hadn't talked about him like that, you might have had a higher chance of successfully confessing to Jason than Crystal did." Hearing that, I quickly waved my hand dismissively. No way, I'm not confident enough. Who knew my best friend would suddenly become serious? "Why aren't you confident enough? Don't you know how pretty you are? Plus, you have a good background. You'd be a perfect match for the Gray family." My best friend was the only one who knew my family was well off because I had only invited her to my previous birthday party. Listening to her praise me, I took out my phone and scrolled back through my messages with Jason from last night. My gaze lingered on how he called me darling wife. An indescribable feeling welled up in my heart. If he knew who I really was, would he still be able to say those two words? Or would he look at me the way he looked at Crystal, an icy glance, utterly expressionless? While I was still staring blankly at the message screen, a new message from Jason arrived. "Wife, my mom pinched my ear again this morning. It's all red." Along with it was a crying kitten sticker. "Pat's head, are you okay? Why?" "Oh, I guessed right. It seems I have a knack for fortune-telling. It's all because of my younger brother's tutor that my mom laid a hand on me." Why did this turn back to me again? Unexpectedly, Jason immediately changed his tone and began complaining about me. Honestly, I suspect he's never been in a relationship. He talks about another girl right in front of his online girlfriend. If he didn't talk about me, I probably would have broken up with him long ago. Do you know how silly that girl is? How so? How silly is she? I secretly rolled my eyes internally, wanting to see how silly he'd say I was. My mom told me to call her inside. At that time, there was another girl at the door bringing a birthday cake, and it wasn't convenient for me to get out of the car. But that silly person didn't know what she was looking at, neither entering the school nor leaving, and even told my mom on me. I had no choice but to get out and find her. He was as cold as ice just a moment ago, and now he's sitting here whining. Young Master Jason's moods really shift on a dime. And who told his mom on him exactly? Suddenly, an idea to tease him popped into my head. "Oh, someone else brought you a cake too? Quite the popular guy, huh?" Sure enough, for someone who had never been in love like Jason, the other side was silent for a long time, not replying. "That's right. Today's my birthday. Aren't you going to give me a gift, darling wife?" "Seriously? Don't you remember how you treated me? If you want a gift, I'll give you 2 slaps instead." I quickly sent a digital red packet of 200 yuan. "Satisfied yet? Give me a smile." To my surprise, Jason Gray didn't accept it. Instead, he sent a red packet back to me. "My dearest wife, take this money and buy me a cake, then bring it to University A, okay?" A sly, knowing smirk curled on my lips. I accepted the red packet, then immediately muted the notifications. Ha ha! He'll soon learn what it means to throw money away for nothing but trouble. For some reason, Crystal Chu and Jason Gray walked into the classroom almost simultaneously. Both of them looked displeased, their faces tinged with weariness. On second thought, the fact that I had made both of them miserable actually uplifted my spirits. Jason Gray probably didn't harbor too much malice towards me. After all, he didn't know I was the culprit. Crystal Chu, however, was different. Her eyes glinted as if she wanted to devour me whole. The 2 classes lasted nearly 2 hours, and all I had to do was look up to see Crystal Chu turning around, her hateful gaze fixed on me. "Hey, what are you staring at? You look nothing short of a bitter hag. I just want to gouge your eyes out." Being stared at for an entire class, my patience was on the verge of breaking. Finally, it was break time. I thought she would find an excuse to pick a fight with me. But surprisingly, 2 minutes into the break, she remained rooted to her seat. This was a bit embarrassing. I must have underestimated her. But as soon as Jason Gray stepped out of the classroom, Crystal Chu immediately lunged towards me. Haha, so she was just waiting for the crowd to disperse? Ivy Yang, I'm warning you. You should know what you deserve and what you don't. Huh? What don't I deserve? Please elaborate. Crystal Chu's face darkened. Perhaps she had never met anyone who dared to confront her so directly. At this moment, her little posse, seeing their big sister angered, swarmed around me, encircling me. I looked at her with utter disdain. What? Is strength in numbers really that impressive? Still playing childish games from junior high? My best friend stood next to me, but she couldn't do anything. Crystal Chu was truly the wild type. If it came to a physical fight, my friend and I would definitely be no match. She was so furious that her chest heaved violently, clearly driven mad by me. You don't know what you don't deserve? Her voice suddenly grew louder. It's because your family is poor. Don't dream of climbing up by clinging to Jason Gray. You're not worthy. I smiled at her, not bothering to retort. Someone who'd been carrying the same Chanel bag for 3 years was pretending to be rich here? Mocking me for being poor was fine, because in truth, she wasn't that wealthy herself. But arguing like this in the middle of class was truly too embarrassing. I didn't want to continue. My silence seemed to make her more confident. She continued, and that next sentence made me abandon any thought of conciliation immediately. Everyone knows, don't they? Your mom picks you up every day. Isn't it because you don't have a dad? My heart constricted. I shot up from my seat and slapped her across the face. The sound of the slap echoed through the classroom, clearly heard by everyone. The pain of losing a loved one, no matter how much time passes, can be endured, but only if it isn't cruelly ripped open by others, stirring up that bone-deep agony. My father was a firefighter, and my mother? She was a lady who cherished beauty. A serious firefighter like my father was utterly captivated by my mother's gentleness. On the day the factory caught fire, my father was on duty. Later, I learned that the factory owner had failed to report that there were highly flammable and explosive materials inside. That day, not even her designer clothes could hide the tear stains on my mother's face. It was the first time I had ever seen her cry so heartbreakingly. "You dare to hit me!" Crystal Chu was enraged, ready to lunge at me and fight. I wouldn't yield. For mentioning my father, she deserved a lesson. Suddenly, I felt my wrist being grasped by a warm hand. Then I was pulled out by an irresistible force, coming face to face with Jason Gray's scowling expression. Girls fighting? How are you supposed to properly tutor my younger brother like this? I huffed and pulled my hand away from him. What? What does my fighting have to do with tutoring your brother? He looked at me, his face as if he would hit me if I said another word. Fortunately, Crystal Chu lost her will to fight when she saw Jason Gray arrive. She scurried back to her seat like a cornered mouse. By the time lunch break arrived, my stomach was roaring. I turned to look at Jason Gray's seat, but he had already vanished. What? He said we'd go together. Disappointed, I started packing my things, but then I noticed an unfriendly gaze on me. It was Crystal Chu again, clinging like a leech. My best friend also sensed the uneasy situation. Crystal Chu's friends also refused to leave. This situation didn't look good for us. Actually, it didn't look good for me alone. After all, my best friend's mother came to pick her up while my mother was still in the hospital, busy flirting with Dr. Allen. Ivy Yang, are you planning to be stuck in this classroom forever? I turned around, meeting Jason Gray's impatient gaze. Luckily, he appeared just in time, saving me from imminent defeat. Ivy, you're finally here. Come in and eat. The food's getting cold. I don't know why, but as a tutor, I felt Mrs. Gray was a little too warm. Brian Gray was also overjoyed to see me arrive. It seemed that, besides Jason Gray, the entire family was very fond of me. During the meal, Mrs. Gray suddenly spoke up. Ivy, I'm planning to pay you double your salary as long as you come to tutor Brian in both the afternoon and evening. Oh, that's not necessary, Mrs. Gray. Why the sudden salary increase? She seemed to notice my confusion and immediately explained. Don't be shy about accepting the salary. Brian is very picky. Quite a few teachers have given up, and it took ages to find someone as suitable as you. And for the second reason, you mentioned yesterday that your mother was sick, didn't you? I understand. Perhaps you need the money more. Hearing this explanation, I was truly touched. The second reason was probably the main one. She thought I was in financial straits because my mother was hospitalized. Misunderstood again. Refusing someone's kindness is always harder than accepting it. All right, if they're raising the salary, then so be it. I won't refuse again. I didn't have classes in the afternoon, so I'd probably be staying here all afternoon. Sister, do you know how to play games? What kind of joke is this? You think I don't know how to play games? Ha ha, who are you looking down on? Honor of Kings, ever heard of it? Brian Gray's eyes shone brightly. Can you play a few matches with me? I'm trying to rank up. Since I was going to be here all afternoon anyway, playing a few matches wouldn't hurt. Let's do it! Log in! Playing a single match was effortless for me. Wow, sister, you're amazing! You're great at studying, and you're a top-tier gamer, and you're pretty too! The praise made me giddy with delight. Come on, one more match. The ring of my phone cut me off. My mother's name appeared on the screen. My mother actually called me on her own. Hello? Ivy, I forgot some documents at home. Are you free now? Could you bring them over for me? Just as I expected, it was nothing good. All right, Mom, wait a moment. Oh my, I just got my pay raised. Mrs. Gray, I'm so sorry, but my mother's condition has worsened again, and I have to leave right away. Do you need Jason Gray to take you? No, thank you, Mrs. Gray. I turned and walked out. Brian Gray smiled brightly, looking at Jason Gray. Brother, Ivy plays games even better than you. Jason Gray shot his younger brother a glance. Let me see her scores. Brian Gray held out his phone to his brother. In a match of Honor of Kings, 13 kills, 0 deaths. But what caught Jason Gray's attention wasn't my scores, but my ID. My ID was Campus Belle of a University. Jason Gray looked back at his own in-game name. It read, Campus God of a University. This was the name he and his online girlfriend had spent so much time coming up with. Jason Gray's hand clenched, his knuckles cracking. Finally, he had found her. When I finally reached the hospital entrance with some difficulty, I saw a familiar figure from afar. Crystal Chu. What an inescapable encounter. Without her disciples by her side, I couldn't be bothered with her. Nevertheless, I chose to ignore her, pretending not to see her. But as I walked past her, that shrill, grating voice rang out at just the right moment, truly not disappointing me. Oh dear, isn't your mother sick? Heaven truly has eyes. How much filth is in your mouth? In any case, we were outside, and I didn't want to make a spectacle of myself. What's wrong? Isn't your father sick? What are you doing rushing to the hospital then? Unexpectedly, she lifted her chin and said, My father isn't sick. He's here to discuss business. Good heavens, discussing business at a hospital? That's a first. Not wanting to waste any more words, I walked straight into the patient room. My mother was chatting with a very polite man in a suit. I knocked on the door. Mom, I've brought the documents. It seemed their conversation was about to conclude. All right, Mr. David Chu. If the conditions are agreed upon, shall we sign the contract? Very well. The polite man signed his name decisively. Mom, let me tell you, I almost got into a fight at school today. Unexpectedly, my mother, who was in the middle of signing the papers, paused and started scolding me. Normally it's fine, but why fight? Don't you know how dangerous it is? She said our family was poor, and I was fine with that, but then she started talking about Dad. I couldn't stand it. I noticed Mom subtly trembled. Oh no, I spoke out of turn. I shouldn't have brought that up in front of Mom. Who was it? Mom's voice was very calm, but I knew she was angry. The man immediately offered comfort. Children nowadays truly don't understand things. How about Ms. Lucy Liu, we finished signing the papers? Dad, why are you still not done yet? All three turned to look towards the door. It was Crystal Chu, Mr. David Chu, discussing business? Good heavens, this man is Crystal Chu's father? Crystal Chu's eyes were full of astonishment as she looked at me. I turned to look at my mother, pointing towards the door. Mom, it was her. I never thought I'd stoop to tattling like this one day. As expected, people always end up living like the very thing they once despised. But I had to admit, This feeling was truly exhilarating. The man's expression immediately turned grim, as if he didn't know how to handle the situation. My mother didn't say much either, merely placing her pen down on the table. "Mr. David Chu, I think this contract needs to be reviewed again. It doesn't seem quite right. Let's discuss it another day." His mouth twitched as he forced out a smile uglier than a cry. "Don't be like that, Ms. Lucy Liu. My side has already prepared everything." My mother remained silent, offering no reply. "Crystal Chu, get over here now!" The man was so angry he was trembling. Crystal Chu had no other choice. She looked at her father with fearful eyes, trembling with each step as she came forward. Smack! The sound of the slap was distinct, and in less than 5 seconds, a handprint was already clearly imprinted on her face. "Why are you so ill-behaved? How many times have I told you not to bully your classmates?" Crystal Chu's tears streamed down her face, but she didn't dare open her mouth. My mother merely watched coldly, with no intention of intervening. And me? I even felt a little smug. Honestly, being the bad guy truly feels interesting. The man turned to look at my mother. "Is that enough, Ms. Lucy Liu? My daughter was wrong. I will properly discipline her. Conflicts among children at school, it's best if they resolve them themselves at school." Hearing that, he seemed to see a glimmer of hope. "Absolutely. Tomorrow I'll tell my daughter to apologize to Ivy at school. All right?" The man looked towards me. Being a gentle person, I naturally didn't want to escalate things, so I simply gave a slight nod. "Then it's settled, Mr. David Chu. We'll sign the contract tomorrow, no problem?" Yes, it won't affect anything." He hurriedly walked out, pulling his daughter along with him. Watching them leave, I immediately hugged my mother tightly. "Mom, you're the best. You're truly my mother. Don't worry, no matter what, I won't let you be bullied." Just then, a man walked in. It was Dr. Allen, the doctor my mother was fond of. Seeing my mother and I hugging, he was a little surprised. "Who is this? Your daughter, Ms. Lucy Liu?" My mother unceremoniously pushed me away. "No, this is my niece." On the way home in a taxi, I opened Jason Gray's messages to check them. Ever since I put my phone on silent, he had been messaging me non-stop. The most recent message was from 5 minutes ago. "Wifey, if I can find you based on my own ability, can we hug and kiss?" "Hug and kiss? I'm right in front of you and you didn't even recognize me. Where did you get that ability from?" "All right, suit yourself, if you can figure it out." "Okay, you just wait." When I got back to Jason Gray's house, Mrs. Gray immediately asked, "How is she? How is your mother doing?" I really wanted to say, "I don't have a mother anymore. I've become my mother's niece. What mother is there to speak of?" "She's fine, but she has a slight psychological issue." "A psychological issue? That's very difficult to cure." Jason Gray was sitting on the sofa with his legs casually propped up when he suddenly stood up and said, "Come to my room." Huh? What does that mean? Jason Gray completely ignored my suspicious gaze and walked straight up to the second floor. "Oh my, should I follow him?" "Sister, you're back. I have a problem I don't understand. Could you come here and help me with it?" Brian Gray stood at his room door, calling out to me. I looked up at the second floor. Although a little hesitant, I ultimately walked towards Brian Gray. After all, being a tutor was my main job. Besides, I felt that whenever Jason Gray looked for me, it was never for anything good. Which problem don't you understand? This whole chapter, magnetic fields and electromagnetic induction. Explaining this will probably take until the cows come home. Jason Gray pushed the door open and walked in. I turned around and met his gaze. His expression was displeased, as if he were annoyed about something. "I told you to come to my room, so why did you run over here instead?" I rolled my eyes so hard I felt like they'd turn inside out. "Please, my job is tutoring. Come to my room first. You can teach him later." With that, he lunged forward, grabbing my hand and pulling me out of the room. "Brother, let go of Ivy's hand!" Brian rushed over and grabbed my other hand, trying to stop Jason from pulling me away. I stood in the middle, utterly speechless. What was this, pulling me back and forth as if they wanted to tear me in half? "I know you don't like Ivy, but..." Brian looked at Jason, a pitiful expression on his face. Hey, was that even polite? I knew Jason didn't like me either, but saying it directly to my face like that was a bit humiliating. Jason glared at his younger brother, his eyes full of indignant anger. "What do you know? Let go of her hand, now!" Brian shook his head, refusing to let go. "Don't touch her hand, do you hear me?" Oh, heavens, were these two brothers about to come to blows? "Jason, Brian, what kind of ruckus are you two trying to cause here?" Mrs. Gray pushed open the door and stepped in, pulling Jason to one side. Seeing his mother arrive, Brian immediately activated his opportunistic whining skill. "Mom, Big Brother stopped me from studying, and he even tried to bully Ivy." This performance surely deserved the award for Best Lead Actor. But then again, what Brian said wasn't far from the truth. Mrs. Gray's skeptical gaze shifted to me. "Don't look at me. I can't afford to offend either of them." Perhaps Mrs. Gray interpreted my silence as Jason pressuring me. She immediately grabbed Jason's ear and dragged him out of the room. "How many times have I told you? Don't disturb your brother's studies and don't make Ivy angry. Now get out." Mom, listen to me. Let me explain. No, Mom, let go of me first." Before leaving, Mrs. Gray even turned back and smiled at me. "It's all right. You two continue studying. I'm going to go teach him a lesson." The door closed, and without Jason around, the atmosphere in the room immediately lightened. "Ivy, shall we continue?" I nodded. I really hadn't misjudged him. Brian's intelligence truly deserved recognition. Magnetic fields and electromagnetic induction were perhaps some of the most difficult topics in high school. But for me, simply explaining the key concepts he hadn't grasped, then demonstrating 2 practice problems was enough. He could handle the rest of the exercises in the textbook and reference books on his own. Brian would look at me after completing each step, and upon receiving my approving nod, he'd be overjoyed. "I'm done, Ivy. I've understood everything we learned today." "Are there no other subjects you need to study?" He shook his head and put his books into his backpack. "This counts as studying ahead. It feels pretty good." I looked at my watch. 2 hours had passed, and during that time, Jason hadn't come to disturb us once. It seemed Mrs. Gray truly handled things very effectively. What should I do with the remaining time? Today was the weekend. I had an elective class in the morning, but the afternoon was completely free. I wondered if Ivy's best friend had heard my mental cry for help, because she texted me at that exact moment. "Ivy, come over here. There's something really fun happening." Immediately after, she sent a location pin, a karaoke bar, complete with the room number. "What kind of fun?" I waited 5 minutes, but still didn't get a reply. Knowing her personality, she was probably flustered by some handsome guy again. "Karaoke on a Sunday afternoon? Who's free to go singing at this hour?" Normally, places like that held no interest for me, but Brian had finished his studies, there was no one else at home, and I was free. "Wait for me, I'm coming right over." Brian reluctantly waved goodbye to me. As I left, I didn't see any trace of Jason. Had Mrs. Gray dragged him away to deal with him? But that was good. He'd never given me a favorable impression, and if he knew I was leaving early, he'd probably fire me. I drove to the karaoke bar, and upon reaching the room Ivy's best friend had sent, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The moment the door opened, I felt that something was off. There was no music inside, nor any sounds of laughter or conversation. When I clearly saw the situation within, I immediately turned to flee. Inside the room were none other than Crystal Chu and 3 or 4 tattooed thugs, and Ivy's best friend? She was cowering at the edge of the sofa, hands clutched over her head, her phone thrown onto the table. This was clearly a trap. I turned, saying nothing, preparing to make a run for it. But right at the door, Blondie, wearing an earring, was already blocking the way. I was done for. I tried to appear calm, looking at Crystal Chu, striving to maintain my composure. "What do you think you're doing? If you dare lay a hand on me, I guarantee that once I get home, neither you nor your father will have a moment's peace." Crystal Chu, fiddling with her phone, advanced toward me, pointing at the handprint on her face. "See this? This handprint. My father has never laid a hand on me, not once since I was little. It's all because of a slut like you and your damned mother." She raised her phone, pointing it at my face, a mocking smile on her lips. "You're rich, aren't you? A pampered princess, right? Going to go run to your mommy and daddy and make me and my father suffer?" She handed the phone to one of the thugs standing nearby. He then pointed at Blondie, who was still blocking the door. "You, hold her hands tight!" Blondie stepped forward, a lecherous grin spreading across his face, and seized both my hands. "Get lost! Stay away from me, you bastard!" I struggled with all my might, but the disparity in our strength was too great. He held both my hands with one of his, while his other hand began to grope me indiscriminately. "You shut up. I'll teach you a lesson in a bit." Blondie became more compliant, holding my head to face Crystal Chu directly. My eyes reddened, and I glared at her. "What are you looking at? You deserve to die." She raised her hand. I felt a rush of air, my ears rang, and my face stung as if it had been scorched. The slap was so powerful that even with Blondie holding my head firmly, it still snapped sideways. At that moment, I felt my neck crack, and a stream of warm liquid immediately gushed from my nose. "Hold her head straight for me!" Blondie complied, and then came 3 more sharp slaps. My mind gradually grew hazy. "Don't hit Ivy anymore, you bastards! If you're so tough, hit me instead!" Ivy's best friend stumbled to her feet, intending to rush forward and intervene, but a thug blocked her way. Crystal Chu looked down at her hand. It seemed my nosebleed had gotten on it. She finally stopped. "Tisk! How disgusting! Why bother pretending to be so pure all the time?" She took a tissue from a thug, casually wiped her hand, then took her phone from the other guy's hand. She waved her hand, and the men responded with sickening smiles, closing in on me. "All right, I've had my fill of venting. Now it's your turn to slowly enjoy yourselves." Blondie rubbed his hands together, a depraved smile on his face. "Tisk, tisk! Just look at those legs, so long and white!" "Let go! Don't touch me!" My hands were still held tight, but I mustered all my strength and managed to shake off the thug's hand. "Oh, quite the spirit, aren't we?" Blondie seized my hand, while the others cleared the table and pinned me down, restraining both my arms and legs. I glanced at Crystal Chu, who was excitedly filming from a corner of the room. "If you dare breathe a word of this, I'll upload this video to the school group immediately." Staring at Crystal Chu's loathsome face, I gritted my teeth. "Damn you! If I ever get the chance, I'll kill you!" I thrashed with all my might, determined not to let them touch me. My defiance was met with 2 swift punches to the face, knocking me unconscious. When I came to, my head throbbed as if it had been repeatedly struck by a hammer. Reflexively, I raised a hand to shield my eyes from the blinding light. After a few seconds of disorientation, I recalled what had happened before I passed out and instantly shot upright. I looked down at my clothes. They were still intact. Only then did I take notice of my surroundings. I was in a hospital? "You're awake?" I turned my head. It was Jason Gray. Why was he here? His voice was a little groggy, as if I'd just woken him up, and I could hear a hint of annoyance in it. "Why am I in the hospital? What happened last night?" I stammered, eager to know what had happened after I'd lost consciousness. "What last night? You're perfectly fine. I was the one who saved you after all." Jason patted his chest proudly with his left hand. Only then did I notice his right arm was in a cast. "What happened to your arm?" "I already told you it's from saving you." I picked up the mirror. My face was still a mess of bruises, some already turning an ugly shade of purple. "Oh no, my face is ruined." "Jason, are you sure? They really didn't do anything to me?" Jason looked at me seriously for a moment, then burst out laughing unexpectedly. "Do anything to you? Or would you rather hear what they did to me first?" He deliberately waggled his arm in the cast. "Don't worry, I rescued you completely intact. It's just a shame I can barely feed myself now." Suddenly, a chilling thought struck me. Something had happened to me, so where was my mother? Was she still busy flirting with Dr. Allen? "Jason, where's my mom?" He looked at me and replied cryptically, "Oh, Mrs. Gray is attending to some business." "And where's that Crystal Chu? I'm going to make her pay." I made to get out of bed, but Jason stopped me. "No need. Crystal Chu has already been taken into custody. Mrs. Gray is handling the situation." Hearing that, My anger finally subsided a little. The school already expelled her, but that's hardly the most significant thing. Her mental state isn't stable right now either. What's wrong with her? Jason glanced at me but remained silent, not elaborating further. Because of what happened to you, Mrs. Gray canceled the contract with Mr. David Chu. He was the one who initially sought the partnership, and the contract itself contained coercive terms. In the end, because of this incident, Mrs. Gray became furious, and his capital chain snapped. Last night, Mr. David Chu committed suicide by jumping from a building. That's why she's been acting so erratically. She deserves it. Consider it ridding a university of a nuisance. Still, her father's fate was truly tragic. Perhaps he should have reflected on his parenting. From beginning to end, Jason never elaborated on how he'd saved me that night. From that day on, I entered a period of recovery and recuperation. I was called in by the police to give a statement. By the time I returned to school, Crystal Chu's belongings had already been cleared out. Having eliminated a common enemy, I once again found myself in the spotlight. Why again? Because the first time was when I famously cursed out Jason Gray and became an instant legend. My mother was brilliant at protecting me. She explained to my teachers that my recovery period was due to Crystal Chu bringing people to assault me. The tattooed thugs, however, she made absolutely no mention of. Anyway, some girls' lives were simply too boring. Whether there was a story or not, it would automatically become truth in their mouths. My relationship with Jason seemed to have improved somewhat. Every night, I still casually called him baby. After all, he had no idea who I was. I still rode in his Ferrari daily after school to tutor Brian, but recently I'd acquired a new duty: feeding Jason. This was a one-sided demand from him, but to show my gratitude for him saving me, I agreed. Getting one salary for 2 jobs, I figured it was a fair trade. Though I wanted to move back home, my mom still hadn't managed to reel in Dr. Allen. Given her personality, I knew there was no convincing her to come home. Before, Jason always insisted on dragging me to his room. Now, though I came every day, he never explicitly stated what he wanted. After feeding him, I headed to Brian's room to tutor him in physics. Ivy, do you like my brother? No, I admitted, feeling a slight pang of guilt as I said it. If you don't like him, why are you feeding him? I just want to repay him for saving me, that's all. Is it from that time you went to karaoke? How did you know about that? You should thank me too. I was the one who told my brother where you were. Otherwise, how would he have found you? Brian wore a look of eager anticipation for praise. This habit of taking credit, truly just like his older brother. That day, my brother asked where you were. I told him you went to karaoke with other people. He immediately flew into a rage and ran out. Why did he do that? I don't know. He muttered something about not knowing which scoundrel you were out with this time, then just ran off to find you. Oh my God, what was that about Jason's behavior? I smiled at Brian. Is that so? Well, then I really do have you to thank. Do you want to eat anything? Or go anywhere? It's on me. Brian rested his chin on his hand, thinking for about 2 minutes. Ivy, how about we go to an amusement park? I nodded. All right, but you have to clear it with your mom and brother first. Otherwise, I'll be labeled an irresponsible tutor. Brian beamed and scurried out. Ivy, you're the best! About 2 minutes later, he returned, a strange, disappointed expression on his face. What's wrong? Can't go? It's okay. We can just play games instead. Brian looked at me with pitiful eyes and shook his head. No, Mom agreed, but my brother? What about your brother? Mom already agreed. What more could he have to say? Wasn't he afraid Mom would pinch his ear again? I looked at Brian, gently reassuring him. It's fine. Your brother's opinion isn't important. If Mrs. Gray agrees, that's all that matters. No, my brother agreed too, but he said he wants to come along. What? Jason's coming too? With that stern face of his, will he even crack a smile? Won't his presence just ruin the whole mood? Brian sighed helplessly. It's really strange. My brother's never been interested in places like amusement parks before. My mind immediately conjured an image of Jason, stone-faced, sitting on a carousel horse. Where is your brother? Where is he now? He said he's going to change, told us to wait a bit. You have your arm in a cast and you're still showing off? Good thing you didn't ask me to help you get dressed. All right, I'll call a taxi first. Jason's Ferrari definitely couldn't fit 3 people. After waiting about 5 minutes downstairs, Jason slowly emerged. The moment he stepped out, he almost dazzled me. Polished leather shoes, a neatly tailored suit, and even a tie. One would think he was heading to a charity gala at Bazaar. Naturally, with that kind of attire, I didn't dare to comment. But Brian, who wasn't intimidated by his brother, didn't think the same way. Bro, we're going out to have fun. Why are you dressed like that? If you want to go, then go. If you don't, go back to your room and study. I knew immediately that talking to him would never lead to anything good. Good thing I wasn't the one offering advice. Humph, Ivy and I weren't even planning on bringing you along. Jason's gaze immediately shifted to me, as if asking if that was true. Why do you two always drag me into your arguments? No, I'm very happy to have him along. Seeing the tension ease, I quickly spoke to smooth things over. All right, the car's here, let's go. Taxi driver to High City's Mixie Mall. The taxi driver glanced in the rearview mirror and teased. Oh, all 3 of you going to the same place? How come 2 of you look like you're off for a picnic, and one looks like he's going to a wedding? That comment made Brian and me burst out laughing. Jason's stern face turned to look at me. Is it that funny? Oh my goodness, is even breathing wrong now? He always targets me. Bro, don't always pick on Ivy, even someone like her, and you're still like this. No wonder you don't have a girlfriend. Jason didn't say anything, but his face grew darker and darker. Ivy is smart, good at games, gentle and beautiful, and she even takes me out to play. Brian listed my virtues, then suddenly exclaimed, Whoever marries Ivy will surely be laughing in their sleep. Suddenly, he turned to look at me with an excited expression. I'm 16 this year, just 6 more years, and I can get married. If I marry Ivy, I'll get to be with her every day. Before he could finish, a hard thump landed on Brian's head. You dare. Jason glared coldly at Brian. Brian clutched his head, pouting at his brother. Bro, why did you hit me so hard? You don't know your own strength. Jason raised his hand again, about to hit him one more time. Still faking it? What did you just say? Don't you have any respect? Seeing that, I quickly shielded Brian's head to protect him. Stop hitting him. He's so smart. You'll turn him into an idiot if you keep hitting him. Jason's murderous gaze immediately turned to me. You're defending him? Do you want to marry him? I brought this upon myself. I really shouldn't have said anything. With me there to stop him, Brian became even more triumphant. Ivy has already agreed, so it's useless for you to say no. If I marry Ivy, Mom will definitely be happy. After saying that, Brian turned to look at me. You agree, right, Ivy? Agree. Just wait until you're old enough to get married, then we'll talk. Suddenly, Jason's hand moved towards me. I thought he was going to hit me and was so scared I immediately squeezed my eyes shut. To my surprise, his hand only gently ruffled my hair. In the future, don't casually say such things to boys. When he said that, Jason's expression was very strange, as if some unusual emotions were bubbling up. And with his hand on my head, my face unconsciously flushed. After all, he was the school's heartthrob, who wouldn't feel a flutter. But of course, his handsome face couldn't hide that sharp tongue of his. I pouted, wondering where I got the courage to talk back. He's just a kid. Why fuss over such things? The pleasant expression on his face vanished instantly. What on earth made him change his expression so quickly? Jason's face became annoyed. He looked at me, saying each word slowly and deliberately. 16 years old is not a child anymore. If we go by what you're saying, then I'm also a kid. I'm only 22. So how about we just go register our marriage now? Huh? I was dumbfounded, feeling like an old man on the subway. What was he even saying? He wants to register our marriage? Jason avoided my suspicious gaze, awkwardly looking out the window. Nothing. It's too early to say now. In less than 10 minutes, his expression had changed 3 times. That's truly Jason's peculiar style. On the way there, the two of us talked more than ever before. We're here. Getting out of the car, Brian's excitement immediately turned into a groan. Huh? Why are there so many people? Today was the weekend, but such a long line of people was still beyond expectations. It's okay, it's the weekend, but no problem, I have this. I pulled a card from my bag. That's right, a VIP card for the MSA Mall. The member entrance was deserted. My mom got this card for me, probably because she didn't want me at home. Maybe because she often has dates at home. Wow, Ivy, you have a member card. Bro, Ivy has... Huh? Where's bro? It was only then that I realized Jason was nowhere in sight since we got out of the car. He really didn't say a word. His presence was surprisingly low. But he's so big. Could he really get lost? Hey, where did he go? Following the direction Brian pointed, sure enough, Jason in his suit stood out the most. I noticed he was holding a cotton candy and an ice cream cone. Even more fussy than a girl, truly handsome guys are often introverted. Jason walked up to me and offered me the cotton candy and ice cream. Here, for you. Want some? For me? Bewildered, I took them. What's gotten into him today? His actions are really strange. At this moment, Brian started shouting because he had nothing to eat. Bro, give me money. I'll buy my own. Jason didn't pay him any mind. Brian reached into Jason's jacket pocket and pulled out a small piece of paper. He curiously picked up the paper to look at it. To my surprise, Jason's reaction was so strong. Brian, give that back to me now. Brian pretended to bargain with his brother. I want cotton candy. I also want ice cream. Okay? Jason maintained his cold expression, and I couldn't imagine what was written on that paper that made it so serious. Give it here. I'll go buy it for you. Brian returned the paper to his brother without hesitation. While Jason went to buy things, Brian secretly leaned in close to my ear and whispered, Ivy, guess what my brother wrote on that paper? Goodness, I didn't see it. How could I guess? I shook my head, answering honestly. I don't know, but I really want to know. Can you tell me? Brian nodded, then leaned close to my ear again. On my brother's paper, it said, How to win a girl's favor at an amusement park, and behind cotton candy and ice cream, there was a check mark indicating they were completed. Win a girl's favor? I looked Brian over again. After confirming he wasn't a girl, I started to think about myself. Could it be that all of Jason's strange actions today were for me? I shook my head hard, telling myself, Ivy Yang, this is a dangerous thought to have. Brian Gray looked at me, a hint of regret in his eyes. Sister Ivy, it seems you're about to become my sister-in-law. Sister-in-law, my foot. Brian mused to himself. Being with my brother is truly exhausting, but that's okay. If that's the case, I'd get to see Sister Ivy every day. I made a face as if I'd swallowed a fly and quickly texted Jason Gray. Honey, do you like any other girl? No, I only love you. Precisely as expected, a textbook scumbag. Jason Gray liking me? Even now, I still couldn't believe it. Dream on. I definitely won't like your brother. I know. His personality isn't exactly great. Suddenly, I was curious about that piece of paper again. Do you know what else was written on your brother's paper? Brian shook his head. No, I didn't get to read on. Just then, Jason Gray returned with things in his hands. Both of us immediately stopped our conversation. What should we ride first, the roller coaster or the drop tower? These two rides were quite thrilling. Brian was excited to hear them, but Jason Gray didn't seem to think so. He took out the paper and glanced at it. The haunted house. Seriously, why the haunted house? What's the point? Not wanting the two brothers to argue again, I quickly tried to make peace. That's fine. The haunted house sounds fun. The haunted house experience was a bit lengthy, as you had to wait for the previous group to exit before the next could enter. As a result, the queue here was longer than any other ride. This was when the advantage of the VIP pass immediately came into play. As we walked through the VIP lane under the envious gazes of the crowd, we garnered quite a few looks of admiration, envy, and resentment. Before entering, Jason Gray softly whispered into my ear, If you're scared, take my hand. For the first few minutes, I pretended not to be scared, but when an NPC almost made me collapse, I quickly grasped Jason Gray's hand tightly. I didn't initiate it, mind you. He was the one who told me to take his hand first. My cheeks felt warm, and from start to finish I didn't dare turn around to look at him. All I felt was that this haunted house was truly spacious. Every 3 steps, a small ghost would appear, and every 5, a large one. Each time a ghost emerged, I would recoil backward, until by the time we exited, I had almost climbed onto Jason Gray's head. Jason Gray gently lifted me down, straightened his wrinkled vest, and said nothing. I realized that Jason Gray's attitude towards me had truly changed a lot. Could Brian's words be true? It was all his fault for insisting on the haunted house, making me so embarrassed. After that, Brian and I clamored to go on the roller coaster and the drop tower. As I screamed in fear, seeing Jason Gray's face, I suddenly felt that the drop tower had lost all its thrill. I even had the urge to jump off the ride right then and there. Just as Brian had said, Jason Gray truly knew how to ruin the mood. As the sun began to set, we arrived at our final stop, the Ferris wheel. As the cabin in front loaded 2 people, Jason Gray suddenly grabbed my hand and pulled me into a cabin. Then he turned back and said to Brian, "You take the next one." And the cabin across from us seemed to hold a deeply enamored couple. Jason Gray and I had absolutely nothing to say to each other, so we could only silently listen as they exchanged sweet nothings. "My love, I heard that if you kiss at the highest point of the Ferris wheel, you 2 will be together forever. Would you like to?" That was the boy's voice. The girl blushed, rested her head on his shoulder, and shyly nodded. As the Ferris wheel slowly ascended, the entire landscape below gradually came into view. The distant mountain ranges, the nearby lake. It was as if nature was bearing witness to this love. I didn't know if the Ferris wheel had reached its peak yet, but the couple opposite us had already lost themselves in each other, oblivious to their surroundings. Feeling a bit embarrassed, I quickly turned my head to look out the window at the scenery. Suddenly, Jason Gray leaned close to my ear and whispered, "We've reached the highest point." Huh? Before I could even understand what was happening, I felt my hand being tightly grasped by Jason Gray. "You." I could only utter a single word, but his face, so close to mine, blocked my subsequent words. He looked at me, his ears slowly turning red, his words somewhat hesitant. "Should we be together forever?" I lowered my head, tried to pull my hand away, but he held it so tightly I couldn't escape. When my gaze met his again, although I couldn't see my own expression, I could clearly feel my face flushing crimson. Okay." Almost at the same moment, his face drew closer, until a warm sensation touched my lips. His kiss was an irresistible force. I even felt like a piece of fish, being torn apart by him. "Stop. It hurts." I pushed him with my hands, managing to utter those 2 words with great difficulty. I don't even remember how I got off the Ferris wheel that day. I only remember Brian looking at my face in surprise when he stepped out. "Sister Ivy, did you eat something spicy? Why are your lips swollen like that?" "She just ate something very delicious. That's why her lips are swollen." I indignantly slapped Jason Gray lightly, who was standing beside me, laughing triumphantly. After that day, I no longer went to Jason Gray's house for tutoring. My mother was discharged from the hospital, and she even brought home the doctor she had set her sights on. But regardless, at least I wasn't alone in the house anymore. Thinking back now, I still didn't understand why I had vaguely agreed that day. Now I didn't know how to face him. At school, I tried to avoid him. Even so, I could still feel a gaze following me during class. Damn it, what exactly was my relationship with Jason Gray? "Ivy, come with me to watch basketball. That super handsome guy is on the court." My best friend dragged me to the basketball court. I barely had time to resist. "Look, isn't that guy even more handsome than Jason Gray?" I glanced over and replied, "Can't really tell." She, on the other hand, was utterly captivated, while I squatted in front of the court, playing on my phone. "Watch out! Get out of the way! Quick!" A loud shout came from the court. I looked up and saw a large figure hurtling towards me. Then I fainted. That's right. I fainted because someone fell and landed on me. I didn't even have time to see who it was. When I woke up, I was already in the hospital. Oh my, I hadn't been to the hospital once all year, but now, in just a few days, I was in the hospital repeatedly. Dr. Allen glanced at me. "You're awake?" Before I could even react, he turned to the door and called out, "Don't stand outside anymore. She's awake." After Dr. Allen changed my medication, he conveniently closed the door behind him. Jason Gray walked in, a rarely seen look of worry on his face. "How are you feeling?" I shook my head, almost bursting into tears. "Not good. My whole body aches, my head hurts, my leg hurts too." As soon as I finished speaking, I regretted it. Goodness, why did that sound like I was acting spoiled? Jason Gray reached out and stroked my head, a hint of doting indulgence on his face. "It's all right. I've already called Mrs. DeGray. She'll be here soon." Thank you." He curved his lips into a smile, but it was a sly, knowing one. "No need to thank me, my wife." "Don't call me that. Who said I'm your wife?" My voice grew fainter with each word. "On the internet, I called you that, and you didn't object, did you?" I hurriedly pulled the blanket over my head. "That's it, I'm mortified." "Are you out of your mind? You knew who I was and didn't say anything?" Suddenly, a strong hand yanked the blanket off my face. His eyes, like a hunter sizing up its prey, made me instinctively shrink back to the very edge of the bed. "I already told you. I would find you. You once said that if I found you, I could kiss and hug you." Jason's face held a wronged, pitiful expression, as if he were accusing me of not keeping my promise. "We already kissed on the Ferris wheel." Memories of that day rushed back, and my face burned bright red again. "That doesn't count. I hadn't officially found you then." I looked at him with utmost vigilance, as if staring at a rogue. I clapped a hand over my mouth, signaling him not to even think about it. "This time, I brought you to the hospital. Shouldn't you thank me?" Still covering my mouth, I shook my head wildly. "I just woke up. I'm still weak. Let's do it next time." Seeing his sly smile, I had a bad feeling. "It's fine, I'll do it." Jason pulled me closer from the edge of the bed, then began to pry my hands away. I tried to push his face away, but my entire body was devoid of strength. I couldn't resist at all. I closed my eyes, resigned to my fate. Looking at my lips, swollen like sausages, I nearly burst into tears. Jason, meanwhile, contentedly wiped his mouth, a look of lingering desire on his face. "Wifey, the kissing's done. Once you're better, we'll hug, all right?" I could only look at Jason helplessly, utterly devoid of strength to retort. He stood tall, looking down at me, his gaze brimming with possessiveness. "Wifey, after you graduate, let's get married. Dr. Allen said you can be discharged today, so come to my place this afternoon." I held the wedding bouquet in my hands, listening as the wedding host asked Jason for his marriage vows. On that day, I heard the sweetest words in the world. Ivy Yang, "If my life were a poem, you would undoubtedly be the first verse, and all the days to come would be the poem's unfolding content. When one reads a poem, they carry the essence of the first verse to truly understand every line within. I will carry the unwavering belief and love I found in you from the very beginning to fully live out the rest of my life." End.